Hi, I'm Roy Collin, and welcome to the show. I've got six podcasts, as you'll see behind me. A speaking podcast where I'm talking to speakers, coaches, authors, and even marketers. I've got the meditation podcast where I'm talking about meditation, breath work, yoga, chakras. I've got a load of meditations from 1 minute to 2 hours. I've got the Learn Polish podcast, and the episodes are about 5 to 10 minutes, and we deal with everyday topics like going to the dentist and things like that. The Awakening podcast is where I'm exposing fraud and corruption, but with solutions. And I've had guests like Mickey Willis, Dr. Peter McCullough, David Icke, and Thomas Rentz. The Crypto podcast is where I'm exposing fraud and corruption in the crypto blockchain technology. So about cryptos and NFTs, but also on the good things and how to invest safely. And finally, the Podfather, which you see there on my t-shirt, the podfather.me, is where I'm helping podcasters either to start a podcast or existing podcasters how to grow their audience. And most of the episodes are short, but they're good tips that will help you improve your show. I also have a store on all of my podcasts, so you can go in. There's some of my products and also some of the affiliates that I do, and that helps me with the show. You'll find everything on bio.link/podcaster. And I'm also helping people start a podcast as well as doing a podcast tour. So you'll find everything on the link there. I'd like to thank my sponsor, DanielPacker.com. He's helping people with fear, doubt, and anxiety. He's got a 90% success rate, and you only pay if he helps you. So be sure to check him out, danielpackard.com. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode. Be sure to comment on the social media and let us know what you think. You don't always have to agree, but as long as it's not abusive, the comment will stay up. Welcome to the Crypto Podcast. You can find all our episodes on thecryptopodcast.org. My guest today, based in New Zealand, beautiful New Zealand. And as we talked prior, it was like rainy New Zealand, like Ireland. I didn't know that. So you learn something new every day. He's an entrepreneur, Bitcoin and crypto investor, Web3 educator, founder of the Wealth Mastery newsletter. Please welcome Lark Davis.
Thanks for having me on. Super excited to have a chance to talk to you today.
Yeah, no, looking forward to this. So I suppose, I like to kind of get to know people first, not just go straight into the crypto. You might kind of tell us your career and then how you got into crypto.
Yeah, so look, before crypto, seems like a long time ago now, but before crypto, I was working as an English teacher, actually. And it's interesting because I've really spent most of my adult life working online. I worked some like restaurant jobs and stuff while in university, whatnot. That's fine. But it's interesting when I was a teenager, I actually started off working kind of online, but not really like looking at it as a job. But I started, trading cards online, like Magic the Gathering cards, stuff like that, and online peer-to-peer marketplaces that existed back then. Real basic stuff. We had this thing called Web TV. I don't know if you guys ever got that over in Ireland. This business box thing you hooked up to your TV, plugged into your phone line. Nobody could use the TV. Nobody could use the phone because it was the 90s, right? This is how things worked.
The
You got
modem.
that sound that's going. Anyway, so I was trading cards there, and that's kind of how things start off. We later got a better computer, and eBay came out. Very interesting. Started selling stuff on eBay. That was still Magic cards and stuff like this, some other things too. And then it's interesting how later on, so finished university, went and taught overseas as an English teacher, learned enough. I did a 5-year degree in political studies and French. The French was useful. Political studies taught me enough to know that I want to have nothing to do with working in politics. What a waste of time and energy. But hey, uni was fun. I guess that was a good time. But I started working overseas as an English teacher and then started working online again as an English teacher because why commute into school when you get better paying clients online and work wherever the heck you want to? So I started doing that for quite a while. And that was what I was doing when I decided to get into the crypto thing. It's interesting because I'd kind of kept an eye on crypto for a long time. Back in 2012, I first learned about Bitcoin, but never pulled the trigger. 2017, my mom actually finally convinced me. My mom said, "You got to go check out this crypto thing because I want to buy some and you need to tell me how to do it." Okay, mom, go check it out. And so got into it, started buying Bitcoin, all that stuff, started creating content, documenting my journey as we got into, doing that and sharing my own learning experiences. And of course, then people ask questions. I said, well, that's an interesting question. I don't know the answer to it. So let's go find the answer to that question. make some content around finding the answer to that question and share this journey as we go through. So that's kind of how it started. Obviously, then it morphed into this big business. 2017 November, quit my day job, went full time into content creation. And 2018 was a big bear market, so it was a tough time in that regard. But a decision that I 100% have no regrets about. It's been such a fascinating and interesting industry to work in, full of just wild stuff happening all the time. There's never a dull day in crypto, it seems. And so it's been a really interesting just industry to be working in. And while I didn't necessarily start off as this idea of growing what's really to become this big business now with, we've got lots of writers for our newsletter and stuff like that. And we're selling courses and all these different things. Initially, it just started off like, wow, crypto's really exciting. I want to make money with crypto. I want to trade crypto and invest in crypto and all this stuff. And we're going to have this YouTube channel. Maybe we can make a few bucks of extra Bitcoin with affiliate marketing and stuff. It turned into something much bigger a few years down the road, which has been a very exciting journey to be on.
Yeah, excellent. And I mean, sometimes our journeys in life, you kind of wonder how come all this stuff comes together. So, you mentioned like your social media at an early stage, but then the teaching, because your teaching, I think, has given you the ability to make people to simplify it and that they understand it, which is probably like, I mean, people don't, I mean, you've massive social media. I know I mentioned it before the thing, but like the YouTube and everything. And that's obviously because of the way that you're able to explain things, because there's a lot of people out there trying to do this, and most of them, there's nowhere they get near. So have you felt that the whole lot kind of came together based on your your education, being a teacher and everything?
Well, it certainly helped. It helped being able to speak in front of people, because I had years of practice speaking in front of people, whether in classrooms as an English teacher, or before that, I actually worked as a teaching assistant at university. So it was 2 years in front of classes full of people talking about ideas, staying ahead of the students in terms of the material and stuff like that, answering the questions, figuring stuff out, and just getting comfortable talking in front of people. And then working online, being comfortable talking to somebody on a camera all the time. So it just was an easy metamorphosis into something new when I started the content creation game. Now, it was obviously a lot to learn, because most of the skills that I had were not applicable. The social skills were, but in terms of video creation, how to script a good video, how to make a good thumbnail, all this kind of how to make a business out of it, that was all new to me and took a long time to learn, and a lot of mistakes, a lot of dead ends you go down. But over time, I feel like we've gone generally in the right direction. So things are working out pretty okay.
Yeah, excellent. So with the newsletter, then, I mean, I don't know, is it something like 90,000 or something, or maybe it's more? You've got a massive subscription to the newsletter, so you might kind of let people know what you're covering in it and how it all began.
Yes, we've just crossed over 125,000 subscribers on our newsletter. So it's going really well. It's been a very exciting process. It's, again, one of those things that, much like the rest of the business, started off in a way that it's morphed dramatically from where we started initially. It started off with just me and a couple other guys that I hired as researchers, people I've known for a while and stuff like that. And everybody came on. We started just having fun, writing articles. And I started the newsletter off on a platform that wasn't actually super optimal for running our newsletter on. It later turned out. But anyway, learning experiences. But right now we're sending out 3 newsletters a week. Every single one's just packed full of all kinds of information. We're talking about basically everything happening in the crypto, from the big crypto news right down to more nuanced stuff, what's happening with meme coins, what's happening with the altcoin space, sharing charts, sharing on-chain data, tutorials, coin reviews, all kinds of stuff. So we're just jam-packed full of information, so it's something that our idea is that we've got a whole team of researchers working on this and writing it every week. The idea is that we do all the work, do the research, help everybody save their time by being able to sit down, read that on their morning train to work or whatever it's going to be, 15, 20 minutes, read the newsletter. You're up to date on crypto markets. Maybe you found a new opportunity or two, something that's interesting for you. And that's kind of the idea. So yeah, anybody who wants to learn more about that can go to the wealthmastery.io, where you can get signed up if you want to check it out.
So like with that, actually, because I think that's what happens. People, they get interested, they're listening to people talk about blockchain technology, and then they start going down the rabbit hole, and they find that their time is just being sucked in. So like to I think experienced crypto investors will realize the value that you bring, but I suppose newbies, there's so much out there, and also like with the fraud and everything and scams going there, like there's people, by the way, giving you something free, but they're really just grabbing your information.
It's tough. It's tough. It's without a doubt there's a lot of crazy going on in the crypto space. And I think when you come in as a newbie, it's really tough because the learning curve is so big. Not only do you have to learn about it, because this new technology, right? You have to learn about this new technology. You have to learn how to use this new technology. You have to figure out, well, how the heck do I invest in it? How do I even get money into the market, et cetera, et cetera. So it's definitely a big learning curve for people. So I always think with my content, whether it's the newsletter, X, YouTube, Instagram, whatever, we always have to try to bring our content out in a way that is going to be friendly for beginners coming to the market, trying to really hit home all the time that message for people to invest responsibly and to try to make good decisions when investing, and to try to talk about how cycles work, and you got to buy low, sell high, all this sort of basic stuff that honestly, I understand the FOMO. I remember the first month, maybe 2 months of investing in the crypto market, I almost couldn't sleep. I was so excited. I was so just, my brain was just working absolute overtime all the time. So I get it. I really do. For new people coming to the market, it's like drinking from a fire hose, a very exciting fire hose, but still like drinking from a fire hose. So anything that can help distill a bit of that, I think, is a useful thing, because you go to social media, it's just noise, 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 noise. It's crazy.
So, and like I've mentioned it to some of the people before, like that there was kind of every time I do a trade, I just go into panic mode. Did I do it right? Did I do it right? And just 3 days ago, some big investor, I don't know, is it like 70 million? He lost 70 million.
Oh,
You heard
yeah.
about that? Just you might let people
Mhm.
know.
It's a wild thing. So this guy, he was actually a victim of what's called a dust attack. So somebody would have sent him like 10 cents worth of Bitcoin or something like that, or Ethereum or whatever. And so this guy, essentially what he did, so it's a very similar address to his own address. And he went and copied that. So instead of having the sensible thing and like going to your MetaMask wallet and copying your address there, for example, he went and copied it off of Etherscan or something like this. Is how I understand the situation. I'm not an expert in the situation, how I understand the situation. And then he copied that address from somewhere. He thought he was just, rushing quick. Okay, $70 million. Whatever. I got things to do, man. Whatever. I'm just gonna just rush this real quick. Didn't. I feel like if I'm gonna send $70 million, that's $70 million to send. I'm gonna check that address like 50 times before I click the
I
send
would
button.
send $1
Oh,
first and then send the
yeah.
70 million just to be sure everything is
Just to
okay.
be sure. Exactly. My goodness gracious. Anyway, this guy um sent it to a scammer address, and that scammer got 70 million bucks. So it's very unfortunate. But those kind of security risks are so prevalent in the cryptocurrency space. And this is part of the learning curve problem, is that there are some very technically savvy users out there. And unfortunately, instead of using that technical capability for good, they use it for trying to scam people. And you see it everywhere all the time. There's these ads running all the time for all kinds of scams. There's social engineering scams in the YouTube comment section. There's dust attacks, there's phishing attacks, there's um, spoofed websites, and just the list goes on and on and on. It's absolutely crazy. You have to be really, really careful with crypto assets, which is why stuff like the Bitcoin ETF is actually really, really good for people, because it gives people a safe way to invest in a cryptocurrency. It's only Bitcoin right now in the USA. Other countries have a lot more stuff. European markets are really vibrant with the altcoin official investment products you can buy through a brokerage. But if you're in America, you're kind of just stuck with Bitcoin right now. Still, though, much safer for the average investor who is scared of making those mistakes and losing their coins.
Excellent. I think I don't know, was it your newsletter or somewhere, but I saw one of the articles from one of your team members on the Babylon chain. So you can stake your Bitcoin. So you might touch on that.
Yeah, I did not write that article, so I'm not an expert on it, but it's interesting. We're seeing a lot of these new layer twos pop up, and the ability to use your Bitcoin. It's an interesting thing, because you always have to think anytime, and this is something really important. It's not just about Babylon chain or really anything specific. It's about everything. Anytime you move your coins out of your wallet, if you're staking them in some new platform, you are taking risks. And I think a lot of people get a bit fooled by the usability of the technology. Because here's the thing, you can go to a decentralized finance protocol or some new layer 2 network, or whatever it might be, and you can bring $1 million on chain. Yeah, hey, bring your money over here, put it here, absolutely fine. However, week later, month later, 6 months later, that protocol gets hacked. And it's not that the devs were doing something malicious. It's just that this is such a new industry and there's so many attack vectors that even the developers making the products don't always see them, and the auditors don't always see them. And you have, again, very, very technical users on the hacker side trying to get in constantly. And sometimes they do get in. So when it comes to stuff like using Babylon Chain, very interesting opportunity. I haven't put any money in personally, but interesting opportunity to earn some coins, right? But you have to keep in mind that anytime you're doing this kind of thing, that you're taking a risk with your coins, and you have to weigh up in your mind, is the risk worth the reward?
So maybe there's not this industry at the moment, but is there insurance available for people that, one, if they're putting it into a third party thing, or two, if they're caught by a scam?
There's insurance for stuff like protocol hacks. Not many people use this, not very popular because insurance is kind of nerdy. People would rather just take the risks. In fact, there's only one major insurance protocol that I know of, which is called Nexus Mutual. There's been quite a few other attempts at insurance, but nobody wants to use it. That's the problem. Insurance, great idea. Nobody wants to use it. So there's that. Insurance against getting scammed? I don't think so. Protocol hacks, yes, that stuff, sure. But if you click on a phishing link, or, there's just some, man, people fall for some of the stupid stuff. Like if Elon Musk is sliding into your DMs, guys, and he's saying, hey, do you want to help me? I'm going to help you mine some Bitcoin. Guess what? That's not Elon Musk. Or that hot chick getting up in your DMs, man. That's not a chick. And she's not going to help you trade Bitcoin. Okay. But people fall for it all the time, unfortunately. If people didn't fall for it, the scammers wouldn't do it. But the fact that the scammers are everywhere all the time, social engineering, these scam posts on YouTube and on Instagram and on Facebook and on Twitter and everywhere else, it means that it works. So you have to be careful. Always think twice. Even that simple stuff, like when they have like the AI avatars for like people like Michael Saylor's famous Bitcoin buying guy for MicroStrategy, they'll put fake videos of him up saying whatever. And then they'll say, well, we're having a big celebration over here at MicroStrategy. And if you send us 1 Bitcoin, we're going to send you back 2. 1, Michael Saylor is not giving anybody Bitcoin. That guy's hodling that stuff till the grave, man. That's one thing you have to understand. 2, nobody's giving out free Bitcoin. Oh, send me 1, I'll send you back 2. But people fall for it. It's this too good to be true thing, and people just don't think. And you have to think, guys. You have to be careful, because remember, it's scammers' full-time jobs trying to get what you got. You got to be careful.
Is there any kind of organization? I mean, like, unfortunately, people they only want regulation when they get scammed, and they don't like. But is there any way that people have been caught? Because I mean, I know like all the phone callers and everything and catching people, scamming on online for other stuff. But for this, is there anyone, or even someone that's able to trace it back? Because I know the way they send it around that it's very hard to get. Is there anyone that's able to catch some of these?
Some of these people do get caught, right? So that's definitely happening out there. But there's also we've seen the FBI come down pretty heavy on what's called mixing services. So it's tricky with blockchain, because blockchain's pretty transparent. There are some services that allow you to mix your transactions in a way that you're able to wash the money, essentially, right? The idea for those protocols is that people can have privacy, because there's a variety of reasons why you want to have privacy in the cryptocurrency space. People have millions of dollars, you become targets. It's a very, very problematic things that can happen here. Okay. So that's definitely something to keep in mind. But the space, I think, when it comes to sort of that sort of regulation and stuff like that, I mean, look, they still send, this blows my mind. They still send Nigerian prince scam emails. They do to this day. To this day, the exact same email basically is going around because
I've
it
got that a couple of
keeps
hundred times.
working. It keeps working. And this is the thing is all you can have all the regulations and warnings and red flashing lights saying don't do it in the world. And people will still send money to the Nigerian prince dude. You just can't help some people, unfortunately. Most people will take a good warning. Most people will pay attention. And yeah, we are seeing law enforcement agencies around the world definitely come after these, bad actors in the space who are running these kind of scams and doing these big scam farms and all this wild kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, some people just they're gonna do it, man. They're gonna do it. They're gonna send the Nigerian prince their life savings for some unknown reason.
I found
Just
out
you can't
one,
help people.
but there was just from a guest that I done recently that with the NFTs. I mean, there was plenty of I was getting lots of NFTs kind of just given to me, and I was like, well, what's going on here? And apparently, like if you I know that if you sell them, if you're clicking them, they can empty your account as well from doing that.
Yeah, yeah, it's wild. It's like it's the equivalent of on-chain Nigerian prince scam emails, but then you because when you go and approve the contract for the NFT or some kind of token, and like you'll get like fake stablecoin tokens sent to your address, like, oh, I got $10,000. Somebody must have mistakenly sent me $10,000. Let me just go and approve that real quick, and your money's gone because you've approved like unlimited spends for all the coins in your wallet or something like that. So always be careful, always be suspicious. My security tip to everybody is that however paranoid you currently are, you're probably not being paranoid enough.
I've seen people having like ledgers, say a few of them. I think based on everything that's going on, that's probably a wise thing to do, not to keep everything on one wallet. And so maybe you might just touch on what wallet you recommend and also the exchanges that you'd.
Yeah, so yep, so I use the Ledger wallet. It's been kind of my go-to for years. I've tried out a few other ones. I always kind of come back to the Ledger. I like it. It's a pretty reliable wallet in my opinion. Yeah, and you definitely want to have a hardware wallet. It's the safest way to store your coins. It's okay to have a hot wallet, which is like a software wallet that's just behind like a simple password. That's fine, but you don't want to go keeping your whole crypto stack there. Okay, that's something to keep in mind. In terms of exchanges, depends on where you live, but all the top exchanges are generally going to be fine for going and buying and selling cryptocurrencies. So, it's Kraken, Coinbase, Binance, right? Stuff like that. They're top buying and selling exchanges globally, depending on where you live. You might have different ones available. But the thing with any exchange is no exchange is a bank. This is what people need to realize. They are marketplaces. They're public marketplaces. And you go, it's not like a stock brokerage. It's not. The asset class is different. When a stock brokerage gets hacked, they can't transfer all the stocks over to their private wallet and run away with them all. It doesn't work like that. It's a database of who owns what. It's all centralized, right? With crypto, if a big exchange gets hacked and they move the Bitcoin out, the coins are gone. Now, it's very, very unlikely that these major exchanges are going to suffer such a catastrophic hack. There'd have to be some wild lapse of security, but human errors do happen. And the question is, do you want to bet on a human error not happening? So I think all the big exchanges are pretty gosh darn safe, to be honest, but I still don't use them as a bank. I'll use them as a marketplace. I'll even leave assets sitting on there for months at a time with a sell order in or something like that. But I would never put 100% of my crypto assets onto any cryptocurrency exchange, right? Just what you need to buy and sell at the time. When you're done, you pull it back to your personal wallet. One thing too to mention is that outside of like stuff like Bitcoin, a lot of coins can be bought and sold on chain. So you don't actually have to go to a centralized exchange. So if you're playing around on the Solana ecosystem, just go to the Jupiter exchange and do your swaps there. You don't have to send your stuff to Binance and then back to your wallet. Just buy and sell right there, straight from your wallet, right? That's probably the way to do it for a lot of people if you have the technical skills to be on chain, but it's not very hard. Okay, my mom can do it. You can do it.
And you kind of mentioned with the stockbrokers, you can be kind of, it's different. They can't empty your account. I had invested in the 90s, but it was Irish money. I think it was before we converted to the euro. So it was over 20 grand. And the son of this big firm, which was on the main high street, was trading because it was all going up. And when the market kind of tanked, I kind of was watching it and I said, all right, I'll cash in. And then there was nothing there. And I went to court and they basically gave the money to PricewaterhouseCoopers and I got something like 2 grand out of it, even though it was
Yeah.
supposed to be protected for 20 grand. So even when you think things like that
Oh,
can't go
jeez.
wrong. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I've never touched anything from that since. So it was, yeah. So I say, exactly. I see, yeah,
You just
Satoshi.
never know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you never know. You never know. So yeah, talk about being paranoid. Like, yeah, exactly. Go, paranoia into overdrive. So I see the nice picture behind you, Satoshi, and I like to ask people
This
who do
one.
they think actually created it. So I'd love to know your thoughts on that one.
Ooh, it's a fascinating question. I don't have the answer, but it's a fascinating topic to speculate on. I think the person that we all want it to be is this guy, Hal Finney, because Hal was a nice guy, right? And was perhaps being the important part here because Hal's not with us anymore. May he rest in peace. But that also then means that, Satoshi's not going to pop back up and it's not going to be somebody who we really, really don't like. Right. So that you don't want that to happen. Or Satoshi pops back up and he's been in prison for 10 years for doing terrible stuff. And he's like, great, now I'm going to dump my million Bitcoin on the market. Good night, everybody. So these are problematic things. Most likely, Satoshi was a group of people, so a small core group of developers that put this together. But what is fascinating about the immaculate conception of Bitcoin and the Bitcoin mythology, no matter what happened to Satoshi, and he walked away, right? Maybe he's not with us anymore, but he did walk away. It's not like he was just, posting normally and then disappeared. He kind of said, yeah, I'm gonna, take some time off here, basically. And he walked away. So it's fascinating to think that he was able to do that and he's been able to maintain his anonymity to this day, that we still have no idea who Satoshi is. And people have looked extensively and we still have no idea. So, but then again, this is the guy who created Bitcoin. So I'm not shocked that he was able to cover his tracks, but it's just an impressive feat. Make Bitcoin, walk away. And if he is still out there, here's the thing. If he is still out there, he's got 1 million Bitcoin, which is a wild sum of coins, obviously. I guess he's waiting until Bitcoin becomes the global reserve currency and pop back up like, hey, I'm the richest person on the planet now. But I also think that he could still be out there from the perspective that we know that there's a certain cluster of Bitcoin, the 1 million Bitcoin that we can attribute to Satoshi. However, it would not be a stretch of the imagination to think that maybe he's got other Bitcoin that he knew was not going to be attached to any of his addresses or any of his sort of signatures and stuff like that, that he's been able, because every once in a while, here's the thing, every once in a while, some old Bitcoin wakes up, 10, 12-year-old Bitcoin hasn't been touched. Think about this. Who the heck are these people? They've just had $5 million not touched in 12 years, just sitting there. Who are these people? I mean, I guess they're just out there, right? But maybe one of those people is just Satoshi, just, time to, we need some cash. Got to get some more Mai Tais on the beach, guys. He's just laying there in the Cayman Islands, relaxing, enjoying his life, walking around flip flops and some sandals, just quietly, just like, yep, nobody knows. He's just keeping the secret. That's what I want. That'd be great. That'd be great too.
With the NFTs then, because like I look at the different kind of platforms and that, and I mean it was something I was trying to put together myself with digital art, and I had a few brilliant artists and I had photographers as well, and I was trying to find a platform and I was like, this is the Wild West, and I actually stepped back and just said, not ready for this. Like it was just, and there was ones that I thought, okay, maybe this one, and I'd wait a while and then it disappears. So it's like, I mean, with your experience, what's your call on that one, the platforms for the NFTs?
NFTs are a very interesting thing. Now, there's been quite a few different NFT exchanges that have come out. OpenSea is probably the most famous one. It's not the biggest by volume anymore, but it's sort of the most famous one. It's the original sort of one that got big. But in terms of like the NFT collections themselves, wow, just wild, isn't it? See these JPEGs of monkeys trading for $1 million. It's just the wildness of the crypto markets. Things got really, really crazy there for a while. What's interesting though is that the speculation got people a bit distracted from, I think, the reality of the NFT technology, because it's more than just a profile picture or a monkey JPEG or a crypto punk JPEG, whatever it might be. Those are cool. I understand the um, collector value behind some of these items. You actually start to dig into what NFT technology is, and what is it? It's basically verifiable ownership of non-fungible assets. So a unique ticket for a concert, for example. As we know, ticket scalping is a really big problem, or ticket counterfeiting is a really big
And
problem.
just
So
on
imagine,
that, I heard
go ahead.
something when your battery dies on your phone, then you're kind of in trouble because usually it's like you're just scanning it, and sometimes your battery drains from, so you're trying to get into a concert without proof.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Well, this is the thing is you can actually link a paper ticket to the NFT on the blockchain so that's verifiable, right? So you can see this piece of paper with this QR code links to this ticket on the blockchain, for example. So that's kind of stuff. But yeah, absolutely. Technology's got to be working. If your technology's not working, you definitely are in trouble for some situations. But there's other stuff too. You can put, for example, your university degree on an NFT. You can put your real estate on an NFT, for example. That's really interesting, practical real world applications, because we live in countries where this stuff's not a problem. But for a lot of people in the world, they have a hard time proving that they own their property because it's in one piece of paper in the capital city, which is 1,000 miles away and locked away in a vault somewhere, and nobody knows where it is. And so it's really hard for that person to prove they own their property, for example. So all this kind of stuff. And of course, then more crypto native stuff, in-game items can be NFTs, swords, or skins for characters in games and stuff like that. Have become really popular use cases for NFTs. Collectible trading cards for baseball cards or other things, card games like Magic the Gathering, new style, not actual Magic the Gathering, maybe they'll do it one day, but newer styles of games in that sort of fashion, stuff like this. So there's a lot of interesting use cases for NFT technology. But wow, the speculation man got really crazy last cycle, didn't it? That's just nuts.
Where I like it is, like if you for the musicians and artists and stuff like that, because
Music
usually,
NFTs, yes.
yeah, because like the middlemen, they're taking 90%, and most of the time you don't even know what's happening. And so like, even, and there's a lot of people going down for authors as well. They're kind of creating it in NFTs because if you buy like a digital book from like a Kindle, you can't resell it.
Yeah.
But now you can if it's done like that, and the author gets whatever commission he decides from the resale, which I think is a very fair way of doing things.
Yeah, that's a great use case. I remember somebody was doing something with that a few years ago. I'm not sure that that particular use case ever took off with
No,
that
there's
company
one
that was
person
trying it.
that's, yeah, there's somebody that's
But
doing it. Yeah,
but yeah,
yeah.
but that's it. It's a but it's a fantastic idea, right? Simple stuff like this, or that music NFT, right? If you want to sell, maybe you've got a limited edition of one of the 10 music NFTs from the weekend or something like that, and you can resell that when you're done listening to it, or maybe you just want to sell on your collectible item, you can do that, and somebody else can then enjoy that music and have the verifiable copy of it. Now everybody can listen to the song, but it's a different thing when you have, and people understand this when you give it to them an example like, well, if you get a vinyl record from like a first edition vinyl record with the sleeve and all that stuff, that's got value. People understand that has value. The NFTs are the same thing. It's just the digital version of.
So with I suppose we're kind of going down deep hole here now with this one that I'm very interested in. Usually, if we've got assets, we create a will, and if something unfortunate happens to us, we just pass it on. But it's totally different giving your seed phrase to your solicitor, because I mean I've seen solicitors robbing houses. They're 90% of them are crooked. So it's like, what's your advice to people on having a system that you're not giving it to, say, your spouse or your husband or whatever, that they, if you break up 3 years later, and not only do you lose a relationship, but your wallet is empty as well. So how do you kind of navigate that one?
Ooh, there's a there's a two very different scenarios here, right? Divorce and death. I mean, I guess they're both kind of pretty bad, but
Like divorce
look,
anyway, not the debt.
yeah, I mean, in the divorce situation, I mean, I suppose there are going to be people who would maybe have certain amounts of like Bitcoin that just maybe the wife never knew about. That's going to happen. But yeah, I guess as long as the other person doesn't take it all, but then it'd be the same as if you had a big pile of cash under the bed and that was known and they came in and took it. Well, then they just be, well, you took all the money, so you have to give half of it back or whatever. So it is problematic from that situation. I guess they can always say, well, I lost the private keys. I don't know where it is. And yeah, so there's certainly issues around that. And you should always be wary of where your private keys are, who has access to them, all these kinds of things. Obviously, never keep any of it online. That's just waiting for trouble to happen. In terms of death planning, though, it is going to come. I know it's a shocking revelation for some of you, maybe, but it's always something to think about. Is that you, me, everybody listening, and everybody that the people listening know, everyone's going to die. We're all not going to be here one day. And if you want to pass down your Bitcoin and stuff to your children, then you need to have a way to do that. Now, obviously, stuff like Bitcoin ETFs have made that easy because you don't have to have the key management aspect, right? But when you are doing on-chain assets, well, it becomes a very important thing to have strategies around what are you going to do with the private keys? As you said, maybe you don't want to leave it in an envelope with your solicitor. That could be problematic. Leave it in a safe at home, probably a safer option, or some kind of, gigabrain thing. You're going to bury it in the backyard or whatever. You can get these metal plates that you can tap your phrase into. So stuff like that's an option. But yeah, you definitely want to think about just the reality. Whatever your plan ends up being, everyone's going to have different ideas for how they plan this out. But you should think about planning it out. But just remember that whoever has access to that 12 or 24 word phrase can access your coins. And you got to make sure that whoever does have access to that is somebody that you trust completely, because any wrong person gets the hold of that, problematic. Even think like in the terms of like a solicitor, right? Maybe the lawyer's totally trustworthy, but his intern's not, right? They come in, they see, oh, this guy's got $3 million of Bitcoin here. I'm going to take that, steal the Bitcoin, get on the first plane to Venezuela, and I'm out of here. That shit happens. That shit happens, guys. So you really have to think about these things. So in most cases, the safest place to store your passphrase is with you somewhere, whether that be in your vaults or buried in your backyard or whatever it's going to be.
So finally, I mean, we barely touched on it, like, but your social media, because there's a lot of people trying to kind of build that. And I mean, your Instagram, even 27K, your X, is it 1.2 million? It's like,
Yeah.
it's like that's not easy. But the YouTube is just like 84 or something like that million views and like over 500,000 subscribers. So how exactly did you start building these? And what was the kind of secret sauce? Did it just kind of make it jump? I mean, honestly, I've got some of my Polish channels like that's over 1 million views and stuff like that. There's other ones. My crypto disappeared for 8 months, my crypto channel, then automatically came back. Then the numbers were down and everything. I got removed from YouTube for the Awakening podcast with X. I had something like 8,000, and I said that a lot of that was done from Hootsuite or one of these things where it was a follow for a follow, and I unfollowed a lot of them, and it just dropped to about 4K or something like that. Like, but so I know what it's like building all the social medias, Facebook and all these different things. Like these are massive numbers, and just like I'd love to know your journey on them ones.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a funny story with the Instagram. The Instagram I feel should be a lot bigger, but we actually had an issue for a very, very long time where we had impersonator accounts. And the impersonators on Instagram kept reporting me for being a fake account. So every time I tried to start my action, and there was no one to talk to for years until they finally implemented this verified program, which they didn't. They did verified accounts for Facebook first. Instagram came like 6 months later for New Zealand markets. So we were finally able to get a verified Instagram account, which has allowed us to finally actually grow and not be reported as an impersonator of ourselves, which is been wild. Anyway, we're putting a lot of effort there right now. So in terms of growing the X account and the YouTube account, it might sound really basic, but it's just been nonstop hustle and consistency. Uploading huge amounts of content, trying to deliver a lot of value with that content. Because obviously, somebody can upload one video and get more video views than I'll get in my entire YouTube channel lifetime, right? That's a different game. But in terms of, crypto is a very tough niche to work in, because unlike general finance, for example, which is always interesting for people, always get interested what money and side hustles and all this kind of stuff. Crypto is wildly cyclical. When the prices are going up, everybody wants to know about it. When the prices are down, nobody wants to hear about it. So it's very difficult to work in from that perspective. So, I might go a year during a bear market with virtually no growth at all. When good times come back, market's up, prices are up, channel will explode. And for 6 months, a year, there'll be massive growth. And that's, of course, the time to double down on content and just produce lots of content, because people want to watch basically everything you can produce at that point. So it's a bit of a tricky sector to work in from that perspective. I've thought at various times, and maybe next bear market I'll actually end up doing some of this, to start a new channel in a new niche. We'll see. Maybe I'll just make enough money from crypto this cycle. I won't even need to think about it. But why waste my time? But certainly in terms of building, it just really is. It's just making content, doing it consistently, showing up for people, and they keep showing up for you. And I think that's one of the important things, and providing value for people. And it's tough sometimes. It really is. But you just have to keep showing up and doing it, especially when you're starting off. Like 2018 was a very tough year for me, because the crypto market was dead, like beyond dead. Like the 2022 bear market was a baby bear market. The users on chain kept going up the entire time throughout the bear market. Wildly different behavior compared to 2018, when there were no on-chain applications to use. There was no DeFi. There was no on-chain gaming. There were no NFTs to like some of this stuff existed, just nobody cared. Nobody talked about it. Nobody was doing anything. It was dead. It was dead out there. Nobody wanted to watch crypto videos. It was a tough time to try to push through. But, you just got to keep pushing. You got to keep believing in what you want to do and where you want to get to with everything. And if you have that vision, you just keep showing up. And it helps, of course, that I enjoy doing what I do. That's, I think, a big part of it. If I didn't enjoy doing this, talking about investing, talking about cryptocurrencies, all that stuff, I couldn't keep showing up and doing it, especially in the hard times. But in the hard times, I put a smile on my face, sit down, make videos, and talk crypto and have fun with the community and stuff like that, because I enjoy doing it. And it makes it easy to do. And the growth just kind of comes as a result of that.
Excellent. And just with the YouTube, because I use like vidIQ and then TubeBuddy, and I mean, constantly kind of using AI for the image, and creating your own image and just make it. But there's times like that the team would just put out something, they forget to put keywords and everything, and it would massively outperform. Is there any software that you're using other than the ones I've just mentioned? Because I mean, constantly there's so many different things being created.
No, not using anything besides that. And it's interesting too, because there's all these things, there's all these little details that kind of don't really matter all that much. Like hashtags were trying to be pushed by YouTube for quite a while and just never really took off. Keywords kind of really don't matter. Plenty of videos don't use any keywords at all. And it's interesting because you get like a vidIQ tool, and you can go and look in and see what other channels are doing, what kind of keywords they're using. You see some of the big channels like, you guys didn't use any keywords at all. What am I even doing? Why am I wasting my time putting keywords in here, man? Nobody cares. Well, YouTube doesn't care is the most important thing, which is fascinating to think about. But no, I don't have any tools besides those. In fact, I don't even use vidIQ anymore. Really, I used to use it a lot, but just found it was more noise. I just needed to focus on creating good content, and that was the only thing really driving. We have started a TubeBuddy account recently just to try to do some A/B testing on thumbnails for some videos that we think, I should have done better, or maybe it could do better. So we're going to try running some experiments with that kind of stuff. But that's the thumbnail editors are doing that, so it's not me. But yeah, that's about it.
No, cool. And I mean, you can let people know how they can find you, but also with the course that you offer, you might just kind of tell people what's included in that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, of course, just look for Lark Davis verified account, of course, on Instagram or X or on YouTube. I'm Lark Davis under all three of those. And yeah, in terms of the Wealth Master newsletter, we're just covering all kinds of stuff from right across the markets, whether it be news, airdrops, meme coins, any of these kind of things. We also have courses on altcoins and how to understand markets and stuff like that, and Bitcoin and stuff like that. So it's all there as well. But we try to offer a lot of great information for people new to the market, and also a lot of value for people who've been around the market for a while. So we try to have that tightrope walk of making it understandable for beginners, but also providing great value for people who've maybe been in crypto a little longer.
Oh, excellent. Listen, thoroughly enjoyed the conversation, Mark. I'll make sure I'll put all the links below in the audio and the video.
Thank you so much.
No problem. So that's all for the Crypto Podcast. You'll find all the episodes on thecryptopodcast.org. Be sure to give us a thumbs up, 5-star rating, share with your friends, but also comment on what we were discussing today. So I leave all comments up once it's not abusive. Until next week, take care. So I hope you enjoyed this week's episode. As mentioned at the start, you'll find my 6 podcasts on bio.link/podcaster. And also, if you'd like to start a podcast or do a podcasting tour, you'll find the information on that or on the QR code that's there. Be sure to give us a thumbs up, 5-star rating, and share with your friends because it really helps. And also, I'd like to thank DanielPackard.com, helping people with fear, doubt, and anxiety. He's got a 90% success rate, and he's only charging if he helps you. So be sure to check him out, and you get a free call to discuss everything. Until next week, take care.